Good evening to you all once again. I welcome you to Habitual Teaching, and we have been looking at the Trans-Saharan trade in our previous discussions. Last time we met, we looked at the dangers that the Berber traders or the traders face in the Trans-Saharan trade, and today we are looking at yet again another topic of the Trans-Saharan trade, and basically we are looking at the role that the Tuareg in the Trans-Saharan trade played. And I hope by now you can have at least one or two roles that the Berbers played, or the Tuareg played in the Trans-Saharan trade. So let's quickly run them through. We're going to look at them into detail. So our lesson objectives will be that today, by the end of the lesson, you should be able to identify the role of the Tuareg in the Trans-Saharan trade. What were some of the roles that the Tuareg played? What were they doing in the Trans-Saharan trade? What were some of the things that they engaged in? Good. But before we go to the Tuareg, let us take a look at who were the Tuareg. Who were they? So the Tuareg, the singular is Tagua, or so, yeah, a nomadic, community who, mostly live in the Sahara Desert and nearby regions of countries across North and West Africa. Now, generally, the Tuareg were fair-colored and very often appeared in public veiled. So they were nomadic people. They reared animals, and normally they were fed. And always when they come out, you see them dressed, or of course veiled. They veil all their face. Okay. Now the Berbers and Arabs call them Mulitamin, okay, Mulitamin. That was how the Berbers and the Arabs called them. Mulitamin meaning the veiled people. So Mulitamin means what? The veiled people. So the Berbers and the Arabs refer to these Tuaregs as Mulitamin, which means the veiled people, because they always veiled their faces. They also share a common language known as the Tamashek. Okay, they share the common language, and the language is known as the Tamashek. The Tuareg were veiled people and whose contributions made the caravan trade succeed. In a way, they were attacking them, but in a way, they made the trade to succeed. Let's take a look at some of the things that they were doing, since we now know who they were. Now we have a lot of them, so I'll run you through. So the Tuareg acted as guides to the Trans-Saharan traders for pay, and I hope we have already established that they were guides. They were hired to protect the traders. 2. They practiced agriculture, that they grew crops and reared animals in the oasis areas to feed themselves and sold the surplus to the caravan traders. Don't forget that for these Berbers, they were nomads, so they moved to areas, and one thing is that they sometimes settle around oasis. Oasis is a small portion on the desert where there is water. You can Google and you get images of some of them. Small portion, then they will have water there. So they cultivated crops and reared animals. So sometimes they will sell some of the food to the caravan traders so that they can get food as they move on in case of shortage. They also dug wells along the caravan routes to supply water to the traders and their animals, donkeys and camels. Okay, so the Tuaregs, again, normally on the trade route that we looked at from Fez to Marrakesh to Aoudahos to Jane and all of that, Timbuktu, they will tap well around all those trade routes, and then they will be supplying water to the traders. Again, they also reared camels, that's the ship of the desert, which they supply to the called the caravan traders. The coming of the camels revolutionized the Trans-Saharan trade. So when they realized that the traders were, of course, mostly using the camels, they then decided to rear camels, and then they will supply them for money to the caravan traders so that they could use them in their trade. 5. Again, the Tuareg also acted as interpreters to the caravan traders, since they could speak many of the leading languages of the areas involved in the trade. So, they were closer to the Western Sudanese people, and so they could understand some of the languages of the Western Sudanese. And so they sometimes acted as interpreters between the Berbers who came from North Africa and the Western Sudanese states. Good. So let's take a look at the next. I have 10 for you. I hope you will clap for me then. Good. 6. Some of the Tuareg were thieves who robbed and even sometimes killed caravan traders. They often robbed the traders of their personal properties and important commodities meant for exchange. So not all of them were good. Some of them were thieves. Eventually, they attacked and robbed, as we looked at in our previous discussions. 7. The Tuareg led a nomadic life, which did not allow them to settle at one place for long. This factor made many of them come down to Western Sudan. It also made them fail to form a kingdom. So they were not settling at one place. They didn't settle at one place. They were like the prehistoric man. They kept on moving from places to places because and so because of that, they were not able to have a kingdom, or they were just moving. Today they are here, tomorrow they are there. So that enabled them to come down to Western Sudan, and of course that was their goal. 8. The Tuareg played an important role in the conduct of the Trans-Saharan trade and the building of the Western Sudanese empire. They provided adequate staff for the traders. They also provided stopping places on the routes for the caravan. Such places included Sedumasa and Aouda. Good. Now, in areas of the desert where oases existed, the Tuareg planted crops which provided food for themselves and the caravan. They also dug wells. I think we have talked about all of this. They also dug wells and interpreters and all of that. Good. And the last one, 10, the Tuareg also provided horses and camels. They kept and feed for the use of the Trans-Saharan traders. They also often demanded gifts or tips from the traders for their services, since they control some of the trade routes. Yes, so basically these were some of the role that the Berbers played in the Trans-Saharan trade. And with this, we will bring our discussion to an end today. And I believe strongly that when you are asked to talk about any of these, you will be able to do it and do it properly. I'll say goodbye. We shall meet again some other time. Subscribe to the channel and recommend it to your friends. If you have any question, you WhatsApp me 05420830047 and I would respond for you. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye. But first of all, look at some of the questions that can be asked. Sorry about that. Look at the questions before I stop or I go. Look at the question and we shall meet again some other time. Bye.